Some coins pass through millions of hands without a second glance, yet a select few quietly capture the attention of serious collectors. This state quarter is one of them. At first, it looks ordinary, but subtle details in its strike, preservation, and rarity can make all the difference. Join this investigation as we uncover the history, craftsmanship, and collector secrets that reveal why certain authenticated examples stand out from the rest. Few modern circulating quarters have inspired as much quiet curiosity among collectors as the 2007 Utah State quarter struck at the Denver Mint, identified by its small D mint mark beneath George Washington's portrait. At first glance, it seems like nothing more than another pocket change coin that passed through millions of American hands during everyday purchases. Yet experienced collectors know that appearances can be remarkably deceptive. Hidden within ordinary examples are subtle differences in strike quality, preservation, and occasional mint-made anomalies that separate an everyday quarter from one worthy of serious attention. As this story unfolds, you'll discover why some authenticated specimens have earned impressive prices at auction, while others remain worth only face value, and you'll see how grading, rarity, and verification ultimately determine whether this seemingly common coin deserves a place among the most desirable modern quarters in a collection. The Utah State Quarter was released during the hugely successful United States Mint 50 State Quarters program, a nationwide initiative that transformed coin collecting by introducing a unique reverse design for every state in the order each entered the Union. Utah's quarter entered circulation in 2007, honoring the state's pioneering history and the determination that shaped settlement across the American West. The reverse captures two historic steam locomotives racing toward the symbolic completion of the first transcontinental railroad at Promontory Summit, where the famous Golden Spike ceremony united the eastern and western rail systems in 1869. Above the dramatic scene appears the state's nickname, Crossroads of the West, a phrase reflecting Utah's role in transportation and commerce. The reverse was designed by John Flanagan's successors working with the United States Mint's engraving staff, while the obverse retained the familiar restored portrait of George Washington, originally based on the work of sculptor John Flanagan. Together, the designs create a coin that commemorates both national history and state identity, while remaining one of the most recognizable quarters ever produced for circulation. The Denver Mint produced an enormous number of these quarters, ensuring they reached banks, businesses, vending machines, and cash registers throughout the country. The D Mint mark simply indicates that the coin was struck in Denver, Colorado, one of the primary facilities responsible for producing circulating coinage for the western United States. Each coin consists of a copper core bonded between outer layers of copper-nickel-clad metal, giving it the familiar silver-colored appearance, while containing no significant silver content. The standard specifications include a weight of approximately 5.67 grams, a diameter of 24.26 millimeters, a reeded edge with 119 reeds, and a thickness consistent with other Washington quarters of the modern era. Although millions were struck, mass production also meant that die wear, striking pressure, planchet quality, and handling immediately after striking created subtle differences between individual examples. Those manufacturing variations, combined with decades of circulation, explain why finding an exceptionally preserved Denver example today is considerably more challenging than simply locating any 2007 Utah quarter. Condition quickly becomes the defining factor once collectors begin evaluating this issue. A heavily circulated coin may display worn high points, numerous contact marks, dull luster, and softened design details that significantly reduce collector interest. By contrast, a mint state example that never entered circulation can retain brilliant mint frost, sharply defined locomotive details, crisp lettering, and strong cartwheel luster radiating across both sides. Professional grading services carefully inspect every surface under magnification, assigning numerical grades from MS60 through the coveted MS70. Even a single grade point near the top of that scale can dramatically influence desirability because pristine modern quarters are surprisingly difficult to preserve. Collectors also examine strike quality, searching for fully defined rivets, wheel spokes, lettering, Washington's hair details, and uninterrupted mint luster. Color plays a role as well, since attractive original surfaces without discoloration or environmental damage are generally preferred over cleaned or artificially brightened coins whose originality has been compromised. Only after these quality standards are understood do collector values begin to make sense. Most circulated examples remain worth only their face value because they were produced in such large numbers. Attractive certified mint state coins, however, often command meaningful premiums, with particularly well-preserved examples sometimes selling in the neighborhood of $1,050 to $1,900, depending on eye appeal, certification, and market demand. Exceptional pieces graded at the highest certified levels can move beyond that range, occasionally reaching $2,800 to around $4,000 when competition among registry-set collectors becomes especially intense. Those remarkable auction results should never be interpreted as the normal value for every 2007 Utah quarter. Instead, they represent authenticated coins exhibiting outstanding preservation, superior strike characteristics, and verified grading from respected third-party services. The marketplace consistently rewards rarity within condition rather than rarity of date alone, a distinction that every informed collector learns early in the hobby. Beyond condition, specialists pay close attention to mint errors and die varieties because these unexpected production mistakes can transform an otherwise common coin into a fascinating collectible. Off-center strikes, retained or missing clad layers, struck through debris, broad strikes, clipped planchets, dramatic die cracks, and significant doubled dies are among the possibilities that specialists investigate whenever a new example surfaces. Genuine errors occur during the minting process and leave identifiable characteristics that experienced authenticators recognize. Unfortunately, post-mint damage often imitates true mint errors in ways that confuse beginning collectors. Scratches, chemical discoloration, heat damage, grinding, and machine abuse can create unusual appearances that have no collectible premium. For that reason, any coin believed to exhibit an important error should be examined by a respected grading and authentication service before assumptions are made about its significance or potential market value. Documentation and certification provide confidence for both buyers and sellers in an increasingly sophisticated numismatic marketplace. Authentication has become more important than ever because the popularity of modern collectible coins has encouraged counterfeiters to imitate desirable pieces. Although counterfeit Utah quarters are far less common than fake silver dollars or classic gold coins, deceptive alterations do exist. Some counterfeiters modify mint marks, artificially enhance surfaces, or create imitation errors intended to attract inexperienced buyers. Careful examination begins with verifying the correct weight, diameter, edge reads, metallic appearance, and microscopic design details. Specialists compare lettering style, relief, die markers, and surface texture against known genuine examples. Advanced grading services employ magnification, digital imaging, metallurgical testing when necessary, and decades of accumulated expertise before encapsulating a coin in a tamper-evident holder. Once certified, collectors gain greater confidence that the coin's identity, grade, and authenticity have been independently verified, which substantially improves its liquidity within the marketplace and provides reassurance during future resale. The story of the 2007 Utah State quarter with the Denver mint mark ultimately demonstrates that rarity is rarely defined by mintage alone. Instead, preservation, originality, exceptional striking quality, authenticated mint errors, and certified top-tier grades combine to separate ordinary circulation pieces from extraordinary collector coins. Proper storage can make an enormous difference for anyone fortunate enough to discover a sharply preserved example. Coins should be handled only by their edges, protected from fingerprints and moisture, and stored in inert holders free from harmful chemicals that can damage surfaces over time. Cleaning should always be avoided because even gentle polishing permanently alters the original finish and almost always reduces collector value. As more high-quality modern quarters disappear into long-term collections, competition for the finest certified survivors continues to grow. That ongoing pursuit is what keeps the 2007 Delaware State quarter relevant among modern numismatists, proving that even a coin once exchanged for everyday purchases can become a carefully studied historical artifact whose true significance is revealed only through careful research, expert authentication, and an appreciation for the remarkable details hidden in plain sight. At first glance, the 1999 Georgia State quarter bearing the Denver Mint's small d mint mark appears to be just another ordinary coin that passed unnoticed through cash registers, vending machines, and countless pockets across the United States. Yet among experienced numismatists, this seemingly common quarter has developed a reputation as one of the fascinating early issues from a program that permanently changed modern American coin collecting. While millions were struck, only a tiny fraction remain in the exceptional condition serious collectors demand today. Even fewer display the combination of sharp strike, untouched mint luster, and flawless surfaces capable of earning elite certified grades. As this documentary unfolds, you'll discover why authenticated examples of this quarter have become increasingly desirable, what characteristics specialists evaluate before assigning collector value, and how the finest surviving pieces have achieved remarkable results in the competitive numismatic marketplace, without suggesting that every coin dated 1999 shares the same potential. The story begins during one of the most ambitious coin programs ever introduced by the United States Mint. In 1999, the Mint launched the 50 State Quarters program, an unprecedented initiative that celebrated every state in the order each joined the Union. The program arrived during a period of economic optimism in the United States, when technological innovation, expanding financial markets, and strong consumer confidence helped fuel widespread public interest in collecting. Unlike previous commemorative coin programs aimed primarily at dedicated hobbyists, these quarters reached virtually every American through daily commerce. Georgia became the fourth state honored in the inaugural year of the series because it was the fourth state to ratify the Constitution. The reverse design celebrates Georgia's rich identity through a carefully balanced composition featuring the outline of the state, a peach symbolizing its famous agricultural heritage, live oak sprigs representing strength and endurance, and the state motto, wisdom, justice, moderation. Every design element was selected to communicate Georgia's history without overcrowding the limited canvas of a circulating quarter, creating one of the most recognizable state quarter designs produced during the program's opening year. Although collectors often focus immediately on the reverse artwork, the obverse deserves equal attention because it carries a revised portrait of George Washington adapted from the classic design originally created by sculptor John Flanagan. The restored portrait returned much closer to Flanagan's original artistic vision after modifications made during earlier decades. Beneath Washington's portrait appears the D Mint mark, identifying the coin as having been produced at the Denver Mint in Colorado, one of the nation's primary circulating coin facilities. Denver manufactured hundreds of millions of Georgia quarters to satisfy enormous public demand generated by the new program. The coin itself follows standard modern quarter specifications, consisting of outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core, weighing approximately 5.67 grams, measuring 24.26 millimeters in diameter, and featuring a reeded edge with 119 reeds. These technical specifications remained consistent throughout the state quarters program, allowing vending equipment and commercial machinery to accept the new designs without modification, while simultaneously introducing fresh artwork into everyday circulation. Producing such a large quantity of quarters required sophisticated high-speed manufacturing methods. Blank planchets were prepared from clad metal strips, heated, cleaned, upset to form raised rims, and then struck under immense pressure between hardened dies carrying the obverse and reverse designs. Although this process was highly efficient, no two coins emerged completely identical. Slight variations in striking pressure, die wear, planchet preparation, and handling after striking created subtle differences that become critically important decades later when professional grading services evaluate surviving specimens. Collectors closely examine the sharpness of Washington's hair, the crisp definition of the peach, the clarity of the oak leaves, the completeness of lettering, and the brilliance of original mint luster. Since these quarters entered circulation almost immediately after production, most accumulated contact marks, abrasions, and wear within a relatively short time. Consequently, examples preserving pristine surfaces exactly as they left the dies have become increasingly difficult to locate despite the enormous original mintage. That reality explains why condition is far more significant than date alone when determining collector value. Professional grading services employ the internationally recognized Sheldon numerical grading scale, assigning mint state grades from MS-60 through the exceptionally rare MS-70 for coins that have never circulated. Every incremental improvement near the top of that scale represents dramatically fewer surviving examples. Specialists inspect strike quality, luster, eye appeal, surface preservation, and originality under controlled lighting and magnification before assigning a final grade. An ordinary circulated 1999 D Georgia quarter generally carries little premium beyond face value, but authenticated mint state examples possessing attractive original surfaces often command substantially stronger interest. Certified coins with exceptional preservation have sold in the approximate range of $1,180 to $1,950, depending upon their certified grade, eye appeal, and prevailing collector demand. Those values reflect professionally authenticated pieces rather than raw, ungraded coins, emphasizing how certification frequently plays a decisive role in establishing market confidence. As collectors become more specialized, attention naturally shifts toward unusual die varieties and genuine mint errors that escaped quality control during production. While the 1999 D Georgia quarter is not known for a single famous, universally recognized major variety comparable to certain classic United States coinage, authenticated mint-made errors do exist across the state quarters series. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, struck-through errors, retained die breaks, and certain double die characteristics have all been documented on modern quarters, although each must be individually authenticated before any premium can be assigned. It is equally important to distinguish legitimate mint errors from post-mint damage. Scratches, corrosion, environmental staining, polishing, mechanical alteration, or damage caused by circulation frequently imitate genuine production anomalies, but possess little or no collector value. Because of this distinction, experienced collectors rarely rely upon appearance alone. Instead, seeking confirmation from respected third-party grading and authentication organizations before treating an unusual coin as a significant discovery. The strongest auction performances have consistently been achieved not by average circulated examples, but by extraordinary coins exhibiting elite preservation, superior strike quality, and professional certification. Registry set collectors, who compete to assemble the highest graded examples certified by major grading services, have created meaningful demand for the finest surviving modern quarters. Under favorable market conditions, authenticated examples at the highest certified mint state levels have realized approximately $2,650 to nearly $3,900 when exceptional eye appeal, strong luster, and remarkable surface preservation attracted determined bidding. These impressive results should never be interpreted as typical values for every 1999 D Georgia quarter. Instead, they demonstrate how rarity within condition can outweigh sheer production numbers. A coin that appears identical to another under casual observation may differ enormously in market value because of microscopic abrasions, strike sharpness, originality, or a single numerical grading point assigned by professional experts. Protecting a collectible quarter requires considerably more care than simply placing it into a drawer. Fingerprints introduce oils capable of permanently affecting original surfaces, while humidity, household chemicals, and improper storage materials may gradually cause unattractive tunning or environmental damage. Experienced numismatists handle coins only by their edges and store valuable specimens in inert archival holders, certified encapsulation cases, or high-quality albums manufactured specifically for long-term preservation. Cleaning should always be avoided because even well-intentioned polishing removes original mint surfaces that cannot be restored. Professional authenticators often recognize cleaned coins immediately through unnatural brightness, fine hairline scratches, or altered texture, and such evidence usually reduces collector desirability. Counterfeit examples of modern clad quarters remain relatively uncommon compared with classic gold and silver issues, but altered mint marks, fabricated errors, and deceptive online listings remind collectors that authentication remains an essential safeguard whenever substantial premiums are involved. The enduring appeal of the 1999 Georgia State quarter from the Denver Mint extends far beyond its role as everyday pocket change. It represents the opening chapter of a coin program that introduced millions of Americans to numismatics while honoring the distinct heritage of every state through circulating coinage. As years pass, fewer untouched examples survive in elite condition because many entered circulation immediately, others suffered improper storage, and countless more accumulated the small imperfections that prevent top-tier certification. This gradual reduction in pristine survivors continues to strengthen competition for authenticated high-grade examples among advanced collectors seeking completeness, quality, and historical significance. Ultimately, the true value of any individual 1999 Georgia quarter depends not upon its date alone, but upon the careful combination of originality, preservation, certified grade, eye appeal, rarity within condition, and current collector demand. The careful balance between history, craftsmanship, and preservation is precisely what transforms an ordinary circulating coin into a respected artifact worthy of serious study within the ever-evolving world of American numismatics. At first glance, the 1999 Delaware State quarter struck at the Philadelphia Mint seems almost too ordinary to deserve a second look. It is the kind of coin that once rattled through cash drawers, disappeared into parking meters, and rested unnoticed in countless pockets across the United States. Yet seasoned numismatists rarely dismiss it so quickly. Instead, they slow down, tilt the coin beneath a light, and begin searching for details that most people never notice. The investigation always starts with simple questions. Is the date correct? Is the small P mint mark genuine? Does the strike appear unusually sharp? Has the original mint luster survived? Could there be evidence of a legitimate mint-made error? Those questions transform an everyday quarter into an object of careful study. As we continue examining this coin together, you'll discover why certain authenticated examples have become highly desirable among collectors, and why only a tiny percentage of surviving pieces have earned the attention of advanced specialists and competitive registry collectors. Our investigation begins in 1999, a remarkable year for American coinage. The United States Mint introduced the 50-state quarters program, one of the most successful public coin initiatives in the nation's history. Rather than producing identical Washington quarters year after year, the Mint began releasing 5 unique state designs annually in the order each state ratified the Constitution. Delaware earned the distinction of appearing first because it became the first state to ratify the Constitution on December 7, 1787. At the same time, the American economy was experiencing strong growth driven by expanding technology industries, low unemployment, and high consumer confidence. Interest in collecting spread far beyond traditional numismatic circles as millions of Americans searched pocket change, hoping to assemble complete state quarter collections. Families, schools, and beginning collectors suddenly found themselves paying attention to circulating coins in a way that had not happened for generations, giving the Delaware quarter historical importance that extended well beyond its purchasing power. Turning the coin over reveals the feature that immediately captures every collector's attention. The reverse depicts Caesar Rodney riding horseback through a dramatic landscape, commemorating his historic overnight ride from Dover to Philadelphia in 1776 to cast Delaware's deciding vote in favor of independence. The design carries the inscription, "The First State," reinforcing Delaware's unique place in American constitutional history. Every artistic element was chosen deliberately. The galloping horse represents urgency, determination, and personal sacrifice, while Rodney himself symbolizes leadership during one of the nation's defining moments. The reverse was designed by William Cousins and engraved by Thomas D. Rogers, creating one of the most dynamic compositions in the entire State Quarters series. On the obverse remains the familiar portrait of George Washington based upon John Flanagan's classic design, carefully restored during the redesign process. Beneath Washington appears the small P mint mark, identifying production at the historic Philadelphia Mint, the nation's oldest minting facility and a cornerstone of American coin production since the 18th century. Now the technical investigation begins because experienced collectors know that specifications often reveal whether a coin deserves closer examination. The Philadelphia Mint struck well over 370 million Delaware quarters for circulation, ensuring the design reached virtually every corner of the country. Each genuine circulation strike was produced using the standard copper-nickel clad composition surrounding a pure copper core. The official weight is approximately 5.67 grams, the diameter measures 24.26 millimeters, and the edge contains evenly spaced reeds that provide both grip and an additional security feature. During production, blank planchets were punched from clad metal strips, annealed, cleaned, upset to form raised rims, and finally struck under tremendous pressure by hardened dies. Even though every coin followed identical specifications, subtle differences naturally emerged as dies aged, striking pressure varied slightly, and planchets differed microscopically from one another. Those manufacturing nuances explain why specialists carefully compare lettering sharpness, Washington's hair detail, Caesar Rodney's horse, and the smallest design elements before drawing conclusions about quality. The next stage of the investigation focuses on preservation rather than production. Most Delaware quarters entered circulation immediately after release, where years of everyday commerce gradually softened design details, reduced mint luster, and introduced contact marks from countless encounters with other coins. High points such as Washington's cheek, Rodney's figure, and portions of the horse typically reveal where first. Collectors therefore search for coins retaining uninterrupted cartwheel luster, crisp lettering, clean fields, and fully defined design details. Professional grading services evaluate these characteristics using the Sheldon grading scale, assigning mint state grades from MS-60 through MS-70 for coins that remain uncirculated. As grades increase, the surviving population declines dramatically. Original surfaces are especially important because cleaned, polished, or chemically altered coins frequently lose collector appeal even when wear is minimal. Although modern clad quarters do not receive traditional copper color classifications like red, red-brown, or brown used for copper cents, specialists still evaluate overall color consistency, natural tunning, brilliance, and eye appeal when determining desirability. Only after understanding these fundamentals does the discussion naturally turn toward collector value. Most circulated 1999 Philadelphia Delaware quarters remain worth only face value because of their enormous mintage. However, authenticated mint state examples with outstanding preservation begin attracting considerably stronger interest. Certified coins displaying excellent strike quality, attractive original luster, and minimal surface distractions have sold in approximately the $1,240 to $2,080 range, depending upon grade, certification, originality, and prevailing market demand. At the highest certified mint state levels, where surviving populations become exceptionally small, registry-set competition has occasionally pushed realized prices higher, with certain authenticated examples approaching roughly $3,700 under favorable auction conditions. Those results should never be interpreted as applying to every 1999 Delaware quarter. Instead, they reflect the market's willingness to reward extraordinary preservation, elite certification, and superior eye appeal rather than simply the coin's date and mint mark. Experienced numismatists never stop with surface appearance because unusual production errors and die varieties can dramatically change a coin's importance. The Delaware Quarter series has produced authenticated examples featuring legitimate mint-made errors, including off-center strikes, clipped planchets, struck-through debris, broad strikes, and occasional double-die characteristics that require expert examination. Each must be evaluated individually because genuine mint errors possess specific diagnostic features that distinguish them from damage occurring after circulation. A coin scraped across concrete, exposed to chemicals, squeezed in tools, or altered outside the mint does not become rare simply because it looks unusual. Authentication, therefore, becomes essential whenever an apparent error is discovered. Specialists compare weight, dimensions, metallic composition, edge characteristics, die markers, and microscopic design details before reaching conclusions. Counterfeit circulation strike state quarters remain relatively uncommon compared with classic silver and gold coins, yet altered mint marks and fabricated error coins occasionally appear in the marketplace, making third-party certification an invaluable safeguard for serious collectors. As our investigation draws together, a clear pattern begins to emerge. The 1999 Delaware State quarter from the Philadelphia Mint owes its lasting importance not to precious metal content or limited production, but to its place at the beginning of a historic coin program that inspired millions of Americans to become collectors. Time has quietly reduced the number of pristine survivors as circulation, mishandling, environmental exposure, and improper cleaning steadily removed many examples from consideration for top-tier certification. That gradual decline explains why advanced collectors continue competing for authenticated coins, exhibiting exceptional originality, sharp strikes, vibrant mint luster, and outstanding preservation. Proper storage in inert archival holders, careful handling only by the edges, protection from moisture, and avoidance of any cleaning remain the best methods for preserving future collector potential. Every Delaware quarter deserves careful observation before assumptions are made, because the characteristics that separate an ordinary coin from a truly exceptional collectible are often subtle enough to escape casual notice. In the end, this investigation reveals that patient examination, professional authentication, and a deep appreciation for history, not luck or speculation, are what ultimately determine whether a seemingly ordinary 1999 Delaware State quarter earns a respected place in the world of American numismatics. Millions of Americans have handled the 2003 Arkansas State quarter without giving it more than a passing glance, yet experienced numismatists know this seemingly ordinary coin can become remarkably intriguing once it is examined through the eyes of a collector. At first, the design appears straightforward, another entry in the immensely popular United States Mint 50 State Quarters program, but hidden beneath its familiar appearance are subtle characteristics that separate an average circulating example from the small number of authenticated pieces that command serious attention within the numismatic community. The difference is rarely obvious to casual observers. It lies in strike quality, originality, preservation, and occasionally in genuine mint-made anomalies that survived production. As this investigation unfolds, we'll explore why specialists carefully inspect both the Philadelphia and Denver issues, how professional grading reshapes collector demand, and later discover the market factors that have elevated exceptional certified examples far beyond the expectations attached to an everyday quarter. The Arkansas State Quarter entered circulation in 2003 as the 25th release in the United States Mint's historic 50 State Quarters program, marking the halfway point of a series that transformed modern American coin collecting. Arkansas, admitted to the Union in 1836, earned its place in release order according to statehood rather than geography. The nation at the time was emerging from the economic uncertainty that followed the early years of the new millennium, and despite broader financial concerns, public enthusiasm for collecting state quarters remained remarkably strong. Banks regularly received requests for newly released rolls, families searched through pocket change together, and schools incorporated the program into lessons about history and geography. The Arkansas quarter, therefore, became much more than circulating currency. It represented an educational project, a commemorative tribute, and an invitation for millions of people to begin paying closer attention to coins they previously ignored. That widespread public participation created an enormous collector base whose influence continues to shape demand more than 2 decades later. Turning the coin over reveals a carefully balanced reverse design celebrating Arkansas through a combination of natural beauty, agriculture, and industry. The image features Diamond State Park, where visitors may legally search for diamonds, alongside a stalk of rice, symbolizing Arkansas's position as one of the nation's leading rice producers, and a mallard duck soaring across the scene, representing the state's rich wildlife and internationally recognized waterfowl habitat. The reverse was designed by United States Mint Artistic Infusion Program artist Donna Weaver and sculpted by Norman E. Nemeth, combining multiple symbols into a composition that remains instantly recognizable among state quarter collectors. On the obverse appears the restored portrait of George Washington, originally based upon John Flanagan's classic design, accompanied by either the P mint mark for Philadelphia or the D mint mark for Denver. Those small letters identify where each coin was struck, but they also become an important starting point for collectors because separate mintages, strike characteristics, and survival rates can influence long-term desirability even when the overall design remains identical. The technical specifications provide another layer of the story. Both Philadelphia and Denver produced hundreds of millions of Arkansas quarters for circulation, ensuring nationwide availability. Each coin consists of outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core, weighs approximately 5.67 grams, measures 24.26 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge with 119 reeds. Manufacturing began with large coils of clad metal, from which blank planchets were punched before being annealed, cleaned, upset to form raised rims, and finally struck under tremendous pressure between engraved dies. Although modern minting equipment operated with extraordinary precision, microscopic differences naturally developed as dies wore over time. Striking pressure fluctuated within acceptable tolerances, and planchet surfaces varied slightly from piece to piece. These subtle production differences explain why advanced collectors spend so much time comparing lettering sharpness, Washington's portrait, the duck's feather detail, the rice stalk, and the landscape around the diamond mine. What appears identical to the naked eye often reveals meaningful distinctions under careful magnification. Once production is understood, attention shifts toward preservation because condition determines whether a common coin becomes a serious collectible. Most Arkansas quarters entered everyday commerce almost immediately, accumulating contact marks, worn high points, dull surfaces, and reduced luster through years of circulation. Coins retaining original mint frost, vibrant cartwheel luster, and sharply defined design elements become increasingly scarce as time passes. Professional grading services evaluate every aspect using the Sheldon grading scale, assigning mint state grades from MS-60 through the virtually flawless MS-70. Specialists also assess strike strength, eye appeal, originality, and the presence of distracting abrasions. Unlike copper cents, modern clad quarters are not classified by red, red-brown, or brown color designations, yet natural surface appearance remains critically important. Cleaning, polishing, or chemical treatment permanently alters original surfaces and usually diminishes collector interest, regardless of how attractive a cleaned coin might initially appear. Preserving originality is often just as valuable as preserving the design itself. Only after these grading principles are understood does the market begin to make sense. Most circulated Arkansas quarters from either Philadelphia or Denver remain worth only their face value because their original mintages were so substantial. However, certified mint state examples with exceptional eye appeal and strong strikes have earned meaningful premiums in the collector marketplace. Depending upon certification, preservation, originality, and current demand, authenticated high-grade examples have sold in approximately the $1,320 to $2,180 range. The finest certified survivors, particularly those occupying the highest registry set grades, where populations become extremely limited, have occasionally approached values near $3,850 under competitive auction conditions. Those impressive prices should never be interpreted as typical for every 2003 Arkansas quarter. Instead, they reflect the scarcity of truly elite examples combined with independent authentication and professional grading. Registry collectors seeking the finest known examples frequently compete intensely because replacing a top population coin can become increasingly difficult as fewer pristine specimens remain available. Collectors also investigate genuine mint errors and die varieties because these unexpected production events can dramatically increase interest when properly authenticated. Across the State Quarters series, documented mint errors include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, struck-through debris, die cracks, retained cuds, and certain double-die varieties. Although no single dramatic error defines the Arkansas issue in the way some famous classic coins are associated with specific varieties. Every suspected error must be examined individually because post-mint damage frequently resembles legitimate production mistakes. Scratches, environmental corrosion, heat exposure, altered edges, and mechanical abuse can create unusual appearances that possess little or no collector premium. Authentication, therefore, becomes essential whenever an apparently unusual coin is discovered. Experienced grading services analyze weight, metallic composition, die characteristics, edge reads, microscopic surface texture, and known diagnostics before determining whether an anomaly originated inside the mint or resulted from later damage. That careful verification protects collectors from costly mistakes while preserving confidence in the marketplace. The enduring fascination surrounding the 2003 Arkansas State Quarter extends well beyond its role as everyday change, because it captures a unique moment in American numismatic history when millions of people rediscovered the excitement of searching their own pocket change. Whether struck in Philadelphia or Denver, each authenticated high-grade survivor represents an increasingly scarce example of modern minting, preserved against the odds of circulation, mishandling, and time. Proper storage in archival quality holders, careful handling only by the edges, and protection from moisture, fingerprints, and abrasive cleaning remain the best methods for maintaining long-term collector potential. As more exceptional examples disappear into advanced collections, competition for the finest certified pieces continues to strengthen, reminding us that rarity is often created not by low production, but by extraordinary preservation. Sometimes the most familiar coins tell the most remarkable stories if you know where to look next.